that was in the waiting room is now been admitted. So Susie's currently awaiting an exciting basketball game and wants to get back to it. So I'm going to let her kind of kick us off before she
Well,
cheers
good
on
evening.
Smith.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to be able to talk with you and see you, and thank you for joining us. We just wanted to get back to all of you who've been such wonderful supporters with some brief reports about what we experienced both at the annual meeting in Arequipa, and that's a picture of all of us, the Pro Dia team with the wonderful cathedral and the Plaza de Armas behind us, and Misty. You can see little bits of Misty that accompanied us. This is where we held our meeting, and there you see both the representatives from the Chicnaya Foundation, all of us, and then all of the Prodia team, both their staff and their board. And I just want to say that for me, the meeting had two bookends with all sorts of wonderful things in the middle. And I just want to say a word about the bookends because others will speak to all the wonderful visits that happened in between. But the picture that you're looking at is really a monument to the wonderful change that has happened in terms of our structure. That is the strengthening of the Pro-Dia board under the leadership of Dr. Ricardo Roca. And here you have a shot of the team at the high point of the meeting after 2 days of discussions and wonderful decision making. You see the inauguration of the new team and the new president. And Ricardo just loved getting that presidential sash. And I think he's going to be a great leader to work with our staff. So that was one bookend, and we just all have celebrated the wonderful progress of Prodia and both the staff and the board, and look for wonderful things for them. And then the other high point, or the other bookend, if you will, was the meeting that we held on the very last day of the trip after we'd gone up to Puno and the Altiplano and visited a number of communities. And you'll hear more about that from Amantini and from the other members of the team. But here you have the annual meeting of all 48 of the communities and associations all together. And the rules for the day was that each association got 1 minute to discuss where they were in their various projects. And, you would think that that would take hours, but in fact, it was a very exciting and lively presentation. And what came across so clearly was the happiness and pride in the communities as to what they had been able to accomplish. And just in pure Andean fashion, we couldn't have more than 2 or 3 reports before there was a musical group that would intervene. And then, and then the music was so wonderful that we all had to dance. And there we were at 14,000 feet dancing in what were blessedly brief dances.
There's
But
Susan.
it was a really such an inspiring event, and I think it made all of us so aware of the skills of our Protea staff and the way in which they work with the communities, the ability of David and Uber, Dr. Madelka, and Rosemary to really elicit the most positive responses and the deep appreciation of the communities for what they have and pride on the part of all of the communities in what they've been able to accomplish. So I'm going to sign off because I know you've got some wonderful presentations to come, but I want to just reiterate how grateful we are in the Chicnaya Foundation for all of the support that you have given us. And it couldn't have been more reinforced how useful the kinds of development model that we are using and its success in the field. So I hope you all will take great pleasure in what you've been able to do. And again, I thank you so very much for all that you have done.
Thank you, Susie, and go Smith. Enjoy the game.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here. Like Susie mentioned, we have a lot of exciting updates, and we wanted to take this opportunity just to share with those of you who might not have been able to join us some of the exciting things that happened while we were all together in Peru. And we wanted to give you an idea on the map of where we were at. I know a lot of you are familiar with Peru and specifically the Altiplano. But I think it's kind of always fun to zoom out and then zoom in and see where it was that we were at. So, like Susie mentioned, we spent our time in Arequipa, which you can see down here on the map for the actual meeting component, where that photo that she mentioned with Misty and the cathedral was. And then we spent the remainder of our trip down in the Puno region, where we were able to see several sites that a lot of our members are going to speak to here in a minute. So I wanted to give you an idea of where all we were at. We spent a couple nights in Puno. That was kind of the bookends of our time in the Altiplano. We went all the way out to Amantini Island on Lake Titicaca on the Peruvian side. And then we went up to the community of Escayani to see some artisans. And then we were also in Juliaca and Pucara, where our office is and where that meeting was that Susie mentioned with the 48 different communities. So that's just to give you an idea of when people are saying these names, kind of where they're at on a map. Again, I know many of you are familiar, but we were all over the place and we had an amazing time. So feel free. We kind of want this to be an interactive thing. If anybody has any questions or fun comments, please chime in. But I'm going to take the time to turn it over to David, who's going to kind of set the landscape for why we went to the Isla de Manteni. Over to you, David.
Uh, Thanks, Mackenzie. Good evening, everybody. Um, my name is David Cajo. I'm the part of the Prodia team, and this time I'm honored to share with all of you the details of the water project that we implemented in the Lampayuni community that is located in the Amantani Island. This project was carried out the last year in 2024 and was made with the collaboration of the Chignaya Foundation and of course with the people of the Lampayuni community. So this was a formative initiative for the community. So just to put under the context, Amantani Island is one of the land islands in the Titicaca Lake. Is kind of big island and is conformed by 10 communities. So the water project was implemented in one of the communities is named Lampayuni. All the Amantani Island are historically face significant challenge due to the lack access of clean drinking water. So that's why the residents during all this time been suffering of lack of water, and they need to go down to the Titicaca Lake and with buckets, usually the women and the children, and to take some water for their houses. So this situation, as you can imagine, affected the quality of the life, health, and of course economic opportunities, because the people in the island are working in the tourist sector. They provide tourist rural services for all the visitors. So this means an important income for all the families. So this project started in 2023. As you can see on the picture, there's a map of the Lampayuni Island. So the project we've been working since the beginning with the people of the community, and they decide that we need to install a truck solar pumping system. So that means that from the lake, from the shore, pump the water up to the hills, as you can see in the map, and in the top, there was built a reservoir. So it was hard working for all the people of the community. As you can see in the other picture, there was a challenge for them digging the rocky soil and up to the hill to the installation of all the network pipe systems to go the pumping the water from the lake up to the reservoir on the top, and then going to a distribution network to all the houses. So after 2 years of hard working, finally the last year in July, we accomplished our this project. We've been so happy that finally the people of the community of Lampayuni now they can have access to the clean water. So this is only have an impact in the families, have an impact for the economic activity too. So now they can provide a better services for the visitors with toilets and running water and showers that now they can offer in their rural hosting in their houses. And of course, one important thing to mention is that they are using a renewable energy with a solar system. So this is thinking in the environmental and making more sustainable in the time. So a key aspect that I would like to mention in this project is that since the beginning, since the earliest stage of the project, the people of the community get involved. They have a very active participation, so they contribute with the hard labor, uh, digging the rocky soil, building the reservoir. Um, uh, and we have, of course, a support with the technicians for the installation of all the solar panels for the solar system down in the Titicaca Lake. So the being in the island now with a group of the delegation of the Chinara Foundation and friends, the past January was an opportunity that they can see how happy is the families in the community now with the impact of this project, and of course now offering a better services for the tourists or for the visitors. They have a better income. And of course, this situation, we face some challenges, as I mentioned before, the hard labor, and we need to recognize the hard work of the people that they get involved. Since the beginning, that was a big challenge. There was months of working, and of course, we have some other situation with the technician installation, but we resolve with the support of an engineer who helped with all the situation, resolving the problem. So now we are happy to mention that this project came through with the supporting of the people of the Lampayuni community, and of course with the support of the all of you that donate for the implementation of this water project. So we believe that the people working with the people since the beginning, it's a good opportunity. I mean, and so they can feel the project as they belong for that project. So we are now the communities surrounded of the Lampayuni community. Now they are looking for water project too. So we hope that this year can work again and make true that the other two communities can have access to the clean water, and of course they have an impact in their health and in their income and all having improving the quality of life of the people in the community. So thank you for your attention, and if you have some questions or comments, please let us know.
Thanks, David. So now we're gonna let Kathy share a little bit more about her experience on the Amantani Island.
Yes. Oh, it's just great to be here with everyone tonight and to be able to share just a little tiny bit of the fabulous experience that we had traveling through Puno. And and I'll just follow along what David said. We traveled by boat from Puno to the island of Amantani, and it was 3.5 hours by boat going one way, and then it was 45 minutes to get to land going another way when we returned. But you see the altitude of that island as you're approaching. This is what the island looks like. All right. Um, there are 11 communities there. We work with 7 of them, hopefully all of them soon. And yet, I've worked in the Andes for 40 years. That's my research site. I work more in the north and the central part of Peru. And I will tell you, I was blown away. I have never experienced something like the island of Amantani. It was just unique in so many aspects. One thing being, if you're interested in agriculture, there are 11 communities that are actually quite united. They're sort of one and sort of 11. They each have their own administration, but they come together as a group, as we'll see in a picture. But they divide their island into quarters. There's 4 sections, and so they rotate their crops, and their fields do not correspond necessarily with the confines of their community. And so, for example, in year 1, they grow potatoes in the first quarter, or suyu, they call them, and the second year in the second one, and they rotate. And that's one way to maintain the ecological balance on the island, because it is very critical, as David said, water, soil, it's all very tentative. Go ahead, next slide. And so from up above, we stayed with a family, my husband and I. He's on the talk, he might say a few words. And this is on the left there, this is a picture of the home where we stayed. From the top of the island, you can't quite get a sense of the pitch there, of the steepness of it, but you can see the lake, it's gorgeous. And one of the things that is so impressive to me is just how neat and clean and tidy and organized the whole island is in the home. You know, we're talking about people who are farmers. They have animals. They're working in their fields, and they were just, you know, and yes, this is geared towards ecotourism, but they just did it so well. It's so organized, and they're always thinking ahead. Right in the middle of that, in the back of that second picture is the latrine or the outhouse. So you have to go down the steps and go across there. But it was lovely. The food was great. Next, what I really want to emphasize is that with the collaboration of Chignaya, they used the rotating funds in several of these communities to buy things to improve the tourist experience. So you'll see in the middle picture, they added a second floor to their home. You can see it's not quite finished. And then that's the view from the room. It's just really quite lovely. Okay, it's not the Marriott. It's a little rough. I mean, we're talking cold and high altitude, but it couldn't have been better. And I encourage anyone who's got some ecotourist sensibilities to check this place out. It's just remarkable. For example, I don't know, you can barely see the bedspread in the bottom right of the third picture, but the bedspread, the curtains, these are things that communities bought with funding allowed by Chignaya, with the collaboration of Chignaya through the rotating funds. So next picture, here's Hugo at work. He's our host, was an artisan. He's making little alpaca toys out of real alpaca fur. Oh, they're just soft and lovely. He's quite talented. The middle picture is the plaza in everyone comes to for meetings. And the third picture on the right is a picture of a meeting of all 11 communities that they had with us. And wow, was that impressive. Similar to what Susie was saying. The next picture, the solidarity is just really something to emphasize. On the left, in the middle with the dress, is the mayor, a female mayor, the alcaldesa of the entire island, and she was in attendance there. And then the last picture there are just it's just a shot of Hugo and his wife Maria, our hosts. They're protecting themselves from the rain there, but just beautiful people, lovely. I just love their traditional dress, and I'll emphasize what Susie also said: the pride that they have in what they've accomplished on this island, and they're working hard, as David points out, very hard. But it was just a lovely experience, and I hope some of you will have a chance to experience it also. Thanks. Oh, Bill, did you have anything to add? Bill?
Well, the only thing I would add is that it was just such an honor for me to accompany the group to Amantani and the other places that we visited. And what struck me about Amantani specifically was the communitas, the way the community came together. And I was particularly interested in this with respect to the tourism, which is, it's a form of tourism that's not for the faint of heart, but it's a wonderful experience. But what struck me was that in terms of receiving visitors, there is a collective agenda for doing that, and that visitors to the island rotate among different host families and host households in order to visit, which struck me as just a really important way for them to organize that aspect of their social lives. And I could say so much more about other visits to other communities, but I don't want to take up too much time. But it was a wonderful experience.
Thanks, Bill. Feel free to chime in throughout as well, and I'm sure we'll have time at the end if you want to comment on some other things. But thank you, Kathy and Bill. And Alicia also wanted to talk about her experience on Amantani Island.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alicia Solomon, and I am both a friend as well as a supporter of the foundation. And I felt really lucky to be able to, and I'm also a really old friend of Liz Claridge, who's on the board. And I felt super lucky to be invited and to be able to go. It was just a once in a lifetime experience overall. And I think before I get into specifics on Amantani Island, which deeply touched me in a lot of ways, some of which I'll talk about, was overall, especially with the community meetings, but even at the annual board meeting that happened at the beginning in Arequipa, just the excellence in administration and thoughtfulness and overall ability of both the foundation as well as ProDia in forming connections with these communities and really being thoughtful about where money and support and development is spent. And then just the behind the scenes support that happens to ensure success. I saw that throughout my trip, and it really was just, it blew me away. I've been on boards for nonprofits for decades now, and I just was just overall incredibly impressed by the excellence that was exhibited throughout the entire trip. So turning to Amantani, on the left here, you'll see a picture of me and Liz and our host, Vicky, who was just so warm, so open, and really, really just incredibly open about her life as well as the challenges that were exhibited, and from the water project and how much it impacted her, and talking about the community as a whole. We were only there for one night, but she just quickly opened up. Her family was there, lived in the home, which is on the right, that we stayed at, and it couldn't have been a warmer experience, and as well as a really interesting experience talking over dinner and breakfast the next morning with Vicky as well as her family. Um, and one of the things that really became clear was the importance of the community being involved from the beginning in these water projects and having, I would say, sort of the political ability to go through the harsh conditions and just the difficulties, both technical as well as from a labor perspective, and really from a political and community perspective as well, in building this water project, and how much it impacted just their ability to succeed as a community, overall. And part of it was that they had full community engagement from the beginning, of the whole town. And we talked about that quite a bit, of how important that was to have everyone buying in, from the town, as they built the water project, and then we're all able to see the fruits of it at the end without having concern or other issues that came down the road. So it's truly communal. Um, and then, the other piece that I just want to touch on briefly, is me personally seeing the importance of my future support of these water projects. I didn't really know much about the breadth of what the foundation and Prodia did, but this just opened my eyes into how important, fundamentally potable water is for the future success of other projects and other development and other work that needs to be done. And so as a donor, that really made an impact on me. And it's something that I'm going to be talking with Mackenzie about in the future, of how I can, support future water projects going forward. This last page, at the end of our brief stay on Matani, we had, we saw the different pieces of the water project, and worked through, and looked at them, and, had meetings and talked them through and how they worked and the like. But at the end, we had a bit of a celebration, and you'll see Amber and Mackenzie dressed up in traditional garb, which was really cool. And just overall, it was a really special time, I think, for all of us who were there, for that brief overnight trip.
Thank you, Alicia. I also took the liberty of adding one of the videos that you shared of the actual dance. So the next slide, it will go automatically into the video, is just a little quick snapshot of the dance that she mentioned. So we'll go to that next. Thanks for sharing, Alicia.
Of course,
And
wonderful trip.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Liz, who's going to talk about our time with the scholarship, some of the scholarship students.
Sorry, you'd think I'd be used to unmuting after teaching on Zoom for a year. So hi, everybody. I'm Liz Clarich. I'm the secretary, and I've been on a board member since 2018. I'm an archaeologist, and I've been working in the Puno region since the mid 1990s. And as a professor of anthropology, I've really focused a lot of my work and fundraising efforts on the scholarship program, which funds between 40 and 50 students from the Puno region to attend both universities and technical institutes each year. And many of you, I'm sure, have seen the annual yearbook, where you actually get to meet and learn a little bit about these students. And if you haven't, please reach out to us to get a copy. So we had the opportunity to have dinner and to chat with a number of the scholarship recipients, past and present. The one night we stayed in Juliaca, which is always an adventure, before attending the Prodia annual meeting in Pucará the next day. And so these students, who are also called becarios, or because for getting a beca, which is a scholarship, so the becarios, they're from a diversity of geographical regions. So some of them are from the relatively large town of Pucará, which is on the highway. And then some of them are from the most remote alpaca herding communities, like Coyerita. And the ones that we met were studying psychology, international business and administration, public management, and finally anthropology. We're thrilled. And I think all of the group of the students were actually attending programs in Juliaca, and that's why they were able to come see us. But more broadly, the scholarship students, they also attend programs in Puno, which is about an hour away, and some of them go all the way to La Paz for medical school. So it's really a diverse and interesting group. So during the dinner, as you can see here, the students were sharing information about their studies and their career goals. They each introduced themselves, and they also all expressed their gratitude to the donors, and also to the staff of Prodia for all of the logistical support and also the personal support that they provide for these students who are, they are definitely first generation students. Many of them have monolingual parents, monolingual Quechua speaking parents, and who maybe haven't finished grammar school. I mean, they really are, many of them are quite on their own in terms of navigating the school system, or at least higher ed. And so on the left, you can see one of the students, he's introducing himself to the group, and we're all listening intently. And on the right, you can see Licenciado Aguirre from Prodia. And he's been working primarily with the students and their organization that they have, their support group called Musokrichay. And so with that group, they develop these community-based projects during their time in the scholarship program. Could I have the next slide? And then after dinner, we also took some photos and had some great conversations. And the photo on the left, we can see the members of the Chignaya board who are responsible for reviewing all those applications every year. It is a competitive scholarship. And then you also see Ralph Bolton here, our founder, and a number of the students. And Susie's, joking about something. And then on the right, Mackenzie and I took some photos with the students we sat with at dinner. And so just to wrap up, I've had the chance to watch video testimonials by some of the becarios that have been posted on the website, which you can go watch too. I've seen the yearbooks. I've heard about their accomplishments from talking to Prodia, but it was really special to actually meet them and hear directly about how much the scholarships have affected their lives. The student who sat with us at dinner was talking about the challenges of being a single mom in school, and that really she felt like without the support of the scholarship, the financial support of the scholarship and the personal support of the other students, that she would not have made it through school. And she's finishing up this year. She's doing her practicum. And so they're really just such an impressive group. And I'd like to echo my gratitude to all of you and to the many generous supporters of the scholarship program. I could talk about them for hours, but we've got lots more to do. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Liz. And now we're going to turn it over to Roland, who's going to touch on a few of our other field visits that we had within Pucará.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining. It's nice to be with you all. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight a couple of delightful evening events in Pucará. One of the ways in which the community-directed efforts of the Chernaya Foundation, one of the ways in which it helps ceramicists, people who make pottery, is to provide roofing for their ceramic studios so that the molds they use do not deteriorate. But another way, more recently, that they've asked for, and then made a good case to the board, and the board approved, and you, the funders, have helped them out with, is to produce display cases that are of a very high quality, and it's a way for them to show off with pride their amazing uh, crafts, their artisanry, and although they do rely on some old templates like the toritos, the bowls that you've seen many times. There are also innovations that happen along the way. There's some friendly competition that goes on, and people are keenly interested in continuing to develop their craft and uh, meet consumer demand while flexing their creativity. So it was really fun to sit down and share time, share a meal with these potters. When I told them that my nephew is making pottery and shared a picture of my nephew, they got fired up and said, "Well, send him over, send him down, have him do a workshop. We want to learn how to make bowls with some gold glaze the way that he was." And so I was just struck by their hospitality, creativity, and this urge to keep honing their craft. Let's go to the next one, please. Another highlight of the our visit to Pucará for me was visiting a savings group, and we've heard about them in other meetings, and we've certainly read about them in reports on the Chennai Foundation, but I hadn't visited one before, and I just want to highlight the concept of gamification. That is, making something very serious into a fun activity, and you can see uh, David is holding a cap in which uh, lots are drawn for who might uh, take the next withdrawal from the group savings. It's all carefully recorded so that it all works out in the end. But the joy with which the savings group uh, supported each other and talked about what they intended to do with their savings, and then celebrated the winner of the draw this time. It was a treat, and it made the abstract very real. So that's my uh, brief observation on the sheer joy of these visits.
Thank you, Roland. And yeah, I can attest. We divided into two groups the last day to see different savings groups and different artisans. And Roland was just so happy to be there learning a bunch. And I've been able to visit different groups as well, but we definitely learned a lot, especially in that savings group conversation. It was really cool to see it in action. So thank you, Roland, very much. And then I just wanted to share a few more pictures before we open it up to anybody else that was able to join in on the trip and wanted to share some memories or any sort of stories. We were able to do a lot and to engage in a lot of different ways. Here you can see our board member Chris's sister Jackie, who was able to join us. And so I think she, as well as Amber and I and some others, can attest to how the folks on Amantini really wanted us to wear the clothes that they had. And so it was really fun to have that opportunity. You can see us all here in this top middle picture at the Prodia office after our big meeting with the 48 different communities, where we were gifted some lovely hats and some bags. And you can see how wonderful the new space is with our logo, and it's a very well taken care of space where we're able to really engage with the communities that we work in. And of course, we've got Ralph and all of his cantuta flowers. There were plenty of cantuta flowers throughout the whole trip, which was just a wonderful experience. And then, of course, some folks mentioned about how much it rained. This is one of our newest members of the Prodia. He was interning with us, and so still with a smile, even though it's raining. And then some folks weren't able to come with us onto our chapter in Puno just because tends to be higher elevation and some that's difficult for all of us. But we were able to have some wonderful meals together in Arequipa with some of our board members from ProDia. Here's another glimpse at that meeting that Kathy mentioned, where members from the different communities on Amantini got together. So you can see they sat us all nicely in front of everybody with the alcaldesa, the mayor, as Kathy mentioned. So it was really cool to be a part of that meeting. And then just a few other photos here and there of another member of our board, Judy, with Chris at dinner. Whenever we get a chance to wear bibs, you have to record that because you don't always get an opportunity to take pictures of folks with bibs. But no, we had some great food and some great time over many meals together. We were also there during what is an exciting time of the year for Puno, the Candelaria Festival. It was kind of the beginning phases of everybody getting ready for Candelaria, but I'm going to share here a video just to give you a glimpse of what the streets of Puno were. Rain or shine, folks were out dancing. There was lots of dancing on this trip. So, and a few of these are just duplicate photos of some of the celebrations. There was even dancing that we weren't a part of in Arequipa. It was someone was getting married and we got to go out at the end of our meeting and see that. And then just some more photos of the inside of some of the host families on Amantini as well. And last few shots here where we had some members of both ProDia and Chignaya board with ProDia staff and some of the other members of the community where we were able to, like Susie mentioned at the beginning, participate in that meeting with the 48 communities. One field visit that we didn't necessarily touch a bunch on yet was to Escayani. It's a group of folks, mainly women, but who are wanting to make sure that all genders have access to the art of their handcraft, which is weaving. So we were able to go have a really wonderful lunch with them in the middle of this field in Escayani, close to their workshop, where they make all of these beautiful items. So that was a really wonderful lunch. More dancing. And then another field visit that we didn't mention as well to Hayawa, which is close to Pucará, where we've worked with them for several years. They work with dairy products, and so they have a cheese factory, and they gifted us some lovely yogurt that we were able to taste, that we were going to see where they hold some of their cattle and other machinery. And then the next few slides here, again, before opening up, if anybody else would like to share, are just a few more videos of those dances. So this one was on our first night together in Arequipa at dinner. A group of students came in and started playing music and randomly selecting people throughout the crowd to dance with them. So it's just a brief little clip here. And then one more little clip here of the streets of Puno when we arrived. And they went all throughout the night, as many can attest. We didn't get much sleep this evening, but it was raining and everybody was out doing their dances. So here's a little clip of that for you. So again, lots and lots of dancing, rain or shine. And before I kind of talk about what our plans are for the rest of the year and inviting you to our next board meeting, I'd like to just open it up. I know there's some members here who joined us on the trip who haven't spoke. So if you'd like to chime in, feel free. Or if anybody has questions or comments, feel free to do that as well. But you can see it was a wonderful, wonderful trip, and we're grateful for those that joined us. And I know many of you were able to join us virtually as well for the meeting component, so we're grateful you were there. Anyone have any questions or want to add on a few more comments? Thanks for joining us, Alicia.
CHIJ.
Okay. Well, feel free at the end here, if something comes up, feel free to let us know. But I just wanted to summarize how all this kind of translates into what our plans are for this year. So one of the main items that we were able to discuss during our actual meeting component, oh, Ralph's chiming in. It's Connie's birthday. Happy birthday, Connie. Great to have you with us. Thanks for celebrating your birthday with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it is my 80th. I'm sorry, I lost
Oh, wow. Big birthday. Happy
ago.
birthday.
Sometimes, anyway, connection, but I got most of it though. Thank you, Ralph, for remembering.
Many happy returns, Connie.
Feliz cumple, Connie. Wonderful. Well, yeah, so essentially during our meeting, we were able to vote on what some of the rotating fund project proposals that were brought to us. So many of these communities that we've mentioned throughout this presentation that we're able to meet with come back to us year after year with plans of kind of a long-term goal or journey towards whatever their improved quality of life and self-sustainability looks like. And so we also received proposals from new communities, as I think was mentioned early on by David. We work with several, or I think it was someone mentioned it during the call. Essentially, when we work with certain communities like Montini, people see the success of these projects and want to come and get involved as well. So we were able to authorize or approve 10 new rotating fund projects. So there's a variety of them, but just to give you an idea of a few, we work with several folks who work with cattle. So we have mini stables and holding pens for those folks. Folks wanted to improve their kitchens for tourism purposes. And we also had artisans who wanted potter's wheels. So we have a full list of all of the projects that we approved on our website. It's linked here in this presentation, which I'll send out to you all afterwards. But yeah, it's on our website under our projects and then 2025 projects if you'd like to read more. And then an exciting new component of what we were also able to vote on were 2 water projects. So we received actually 6 water project proposals. And although we would like to support all of them this year, due to budgetary restrictions, we're focusing on 2 this year with the hopes that we can continue to support the other folks, those other 4 communities on Montini Island. So as many mentioned, it's such a wonderful island that's really excited to share their beautiful culture and the beauty of the geography that they have with tourists. And so it's really difficult to do so when you don't have running water. They're trying to make sure that those that visit them are very comfortable. So that's one component. And obviously the main component is having access to drinking water and running water for all of those hygienic needs for their day-to-day life as well. We were also able to award 52 scholarships. This is a higher number than years past, thanks to many of you who support our scholarship program. We were able to increase this amount. So this will go to students who are either sitting at a university or at an institute. So we're excited. Liz mentioned our yearbook that was for this past year, and many of those becarios or those scholarship recipients are continuing their studies and are a part of that scholarship, that number, that 52 scholarships. And so we'll have a yearbook later this year mentioning who was awarded those gifts. And then we also are continuing to work with our savings groups. It was wonderful to see Rosemary in action. Here's another photo of her here on the bottom. That's a program she's been able to really grow. Thankfully, because of that growth, she's been able to receive the support of the intern that I mentioned this last year. And Prodia came to us during our meeting and said, hey, we would really like to continue to grow, not only in this area, but as an entity here in Peru. And so we would like to have support for another position. So we were able to authorize that. And we're looking forward to seeing how the savings program and the other areas of our work will grow during 2025. And we will also continue to work in our dental areas with 5 different schools. Dr. Medelka, she's wonderful. She'll be working with students who she's already worked with in the past and continuing their maintenance of their dental health, and then working with, I believe, 2 new schools this upcoming year. And another project that we are excited to continue is our Bofidalis project, which we focused on in many presentations in the past. But essentially, we're continuing to work with this remote group of 5 communities that form Asociación Huichai, who are alpaca herders. And so it's a long-term project, not only to help them improve the health and well-being of their alpaca so that they can have that wool to sell and to utilize in their handcrafts, but to also improve the environmental situation close to them, protect those bofidalis, which means high altitude wetlands. So thanks to grants and some other donations, we're able to continue this project. We're working with 61 families there who have these individualized plans of how to take care of that land, as well as do things such as create geomembrane reservoirs, which will allow them to have access to water during those drier months. So again, this is just a snippet of the work that we're going to do this year. The full list is a little bit more detailed on the website, and we're continuing to grow and expand as needed as the communities come to us and mention what they would like to focus on. And then I did want to make a plug for, Liz mentioned our yearbook, which is here on the right. So we have a copy of that online as well. Again, those are for the students that received scholarships in 2024. And traditionally we release that in the fall, along with kind of the start of the US school year. So keep an eye out later this year for that. Excuse me. And then most recently, we released our impact report, which outlines in a little more detail these plans for 2025, but also celebrates all of the work and kind of tangible numbers that we were able to achieve thanks to your support in 2024. So that has been sent out virtually. I know many of you should have received it in your physical mailbox as well. If you have not, and that's something you're interested in, please don't hesitate to reach out. It's again, a brief summary, but really trying to show you how your donations can be turned into that tangible impact, how many dollars are invested in what programs and the number of recipients as well. And then Ralph is also mentioning something very important. Yes, thanks for reminding me, Ralph. The Foundation Scholarship Program will appear soon in the Journal of Practicing Anthropology. So the co-authors were Anne Stromberg, who's a long-term promoter of the program, and Yuver Aguirre of Prodia, who works on the program on the ground. And then Ralph participated in that as well. So thanks for sharing that, Ralph. And once we have the link for that, would be great to share with you all. I'm sure those who've supported the scholarship program specifically would love to see that, but I'll be sure those who are interested have access to it. So thank you for that reminder, Ralph. And then lastly, just before opening it up, I want to invite you all. We aren't going to Peru this next year, unfortunately. Typically, it's once in I think every 3 years is how we've traditionally done it in the past. COVID put a little snag in those plans, but we still are all going to get together in Palm Springs at Palm Mountain Resort, which is pictured here. So it's an opportunity to have some wonderful sunshine. So we've locked in the dates for January 16th and 17th. So anyone is welcome to join us. Again, we really value how all of you support us, and it's really important for you to be involved with these discussions about our programming, as well as voice your opinion about plans for the future. It's definitely something that it takes a village to be able to do all of this work. And so we're very grateful how you all participate. And I know virtual events are wonderful and we're grateful that we can have them, but it's always really, really wonderful to get together and be in person. So please be on the lookout for more information about our trip. And if it's something you say right here and now you are in, for sure, let me know and I'll keep you on a list just so we can have an idea of numbers of rooms to reserve. Does anyone have any other questions or comments? I really appreciate everyone that shared today. I think it's hopefully wonderful for you all on the call to hear from someone other than David and myself. I know it's traditionally what we do, but I just really appreciate how enthusiastic the group was despite the rain, despite, upset stomachs, what have you. We had a bunch of troopers and it was so great that you all brought back that enthusiasm, and we just really wanted to try to share that with you all who weren't able to be there with us. But please know any future visits, you all are invited, and it really does, I think, help make a difference to understand the impact of our work. But if you have any ideas of how we can continue to share that, even without being in country, don't hesitate to let us know, because we want to make sure, again, that you're engaging with our work in a way that makes sense to you. So thank you, everybody. Any last comments or questions? And I know a few people were asking about recording of the call in the chat. We are recording it, so if you want to look through it again, if you weren't able to be on the whole time, or if you want to share it with somebody else, we'll be sure to circle that back around. Well, thank you, everybody. It was good to see you all. I hope you're doing well in your various corners of the world, and we're really appreciative. Again, thank you, everyone, for sharing.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Connie.
Thank you. Thank you. I made it to 80. That's a
Woohoo!
good thing, I guess.
Big
It is.
milestone.
Join the club.
Oh, I know. Big number, but no, very grateful. Very grateful. Thank you, though, for the wishes.
Thanks,
After
everybody.
hearing,
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Be
Great program.
after hearing
Dr.
these
Mike.
stories, I think a lot of people will want to head to the Lake Titicaca area.
We can hook you up with a place to stay if you need it.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Let's see.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Leave. Is this leave?